Thank you for joining today's episode of Small Talks for Big Change, where we help simplify financial topics to help with your financial wellness. My name is Michele Enriquez, Membership Development Manager here at Patelco Credit Union, and greetings out there, everyone. It is Youth Month for us folks at credit unions around the globe. It's a time of year when credit unions teach and encourage kids to develop strong financial habits. And today we've got an expert in supporting youth with financial education with us today. I've had the pleasure of working alongside her for many years and had to get her in the studio today to talk about Youth Month. Kristi Longoria, Member Experience and Financial Wellbeing Program Partner. Welcome back to Small Talks for Big Change.
Thanks so much for having me, Michele.
That new title is so long.
It's a lot.
So long. Kristi, we've been at this credit union youth financial empowerment thing for over a decade now. Tell us a little bit about some of the work that you've done with credit unions specific to supporting youth.
There's a lot that we've done over the past decade, but I think one of the most important sort of themes and things that I've learned over the years is that credit unions exist in this really unique space between providing the financial products and services that are responsible for members, no matter where they are starting their financial journeys and where they're headed, and being responsible for educating and providing support to their communities. This is a space that when I first joined credit union industry, did not know existed. And I kind of felt like at the time, when I'm really just thinking about how do I develop content? How do I partner with nonprofit organizations? How do I work with the schools? How do I do this? How do I do that? There was no script for it. It was really just take it, do something, change it, and then we'll see where we are. And that organic process of being able to just do that makes credit unions so unique on both being able to provide for their communities in ways that they specifically need it, and for the educator to be able to make something that truly matters. And that's why every credit union's program is so unique, because it's reflective of the communities that they're serving. And that's so important. It's so critical to be able to go out, teach something, realize, wait, maybe that doesn't make sense. I remember one of my first experiences when I was teaching financial education was going out and talking about budgeting and saving. Right? We always have those core components: budgeting and saving, credit, identity theft. When we're working with youth, we talk about scholarships. And I remember going out and talking about why it's so important to budget and save, and here are the products and services that you can utilize to do those things. And realizing that wasn't even the right question to be answering. Because how do you teach somebody to budget and save who's on a very limited income? How do you provide a product or a service to someone who has non-traditional forms of identification? So how do you really teach financial education alongside the products and services? And sometimes you can't, right? Sometimes you have to really just take a step back and think, what am I trying to accomplish here? And it's well-being, right? How am I going to be able to talk to a group of 20 different people? One person's never stepped foot in a bank or a credit union before, and somebody else had credit and life happened and now they're rebuilding. And then you've got a youth here whose parent is still a firm believer of keeping their cash in, underneath a mattress or in a drawer and all of these things. And then you're met with the challenge of what our teachers are faced with every day is different populations at different levels coming from all of these different places. And one of the things that really, I think, makes credit unions so special is that you have a team usually, or at least an individual, going out into the community and seeing what do they need? What does the school in this city need versus the other cities need? And what does this population need? And then you bring that back to the powerhouse that is financial institutions and make that change. So, when we ask, what are the things that you've been able to do? All I've really done is just listen. Our members have the answers. They have what it is that they just need that outlet. They need somebody to tell. They need somebody to trust to say like, hey, I really think that it is super important to budget and save. Sure wish I could have a bank or a credit union to help me do that. And then you have the conversation. Well, what do you have? What information are you needing? And then you start connecting the dots, and then you can create something that's really powerful for your communities. We've been able to work with our incarcerated youth, our pregnant teen moms. We've created specialized, education for these groups because they need it. This one-size-fits-all idea that, you can just go out and do budgeting and saving. If you're doing that, it's great, but you can always do more. You can always listen better. You can hear between the lines. Even 10, 15 years down the road, when we've been doing this, I learn something every single time I go out and I talk to the youth, to our at-risk populations, to our high-need members. And if you're not learning, you're not asking the right questions. And that's really what I think I've taken away from how much power education is.
You're so amazing. I just feel super lucky to have been kind of riding your coattails along this journey. We've had so many classroom stories and classroom experiences, you and I, that we'll save for another podcast episode. I think there's one consistent theme that we always heard following presentations, and it's, I wish I had this when I was younger, every time, right? And we know how important it is, right, to teach kids young, instill these financial principles, understand the importance of credit, and its connection to employment, understanding student loan debt implications, consumer loan debt implications. The list goes on and on, right? When you started working with youth, you understood all of these things, right? The importance of instilling these principles, the fact that it's really lacking in our educational system. And we know the state of California is working on implementing some legislation, right? But now you're a mom of 2 little ones. So now that you've got kids, has your viewpoint changed at all?
It has, I think, on both ends. So what it means to educate our littlest littles, right? So I have a 2-year-old, just turned 2-year-old, and a just turned 5-year-old.
Crazy.
And for the parents and family members that are supporting those kids too, what does it mean to be financially educated as a parent? And it's always that last descriptor that we miss. It's like financial well-being for a lot of different things, for being a parent, for being, a teacher, for being, whatever it is. There's always something specific to who you are, how you identify yourself, that you can learn and tie back into financial education. A lot of people don't think that you can teach financial education to the littlest of the littles. I think it's a common misconception because, they don't even know numbers, right? They don't understand, quantity of things. And how do you teach them about money? But that's already sort of the basis of the problem when we teach financial education, is that we think it has to start there. It's actually starting like 20 feet back.
Yep.
We're talking about values, family values. What's important to you? What do you think is interesting about your community? What is community? How does the fire station and the police department and your school and all of these communities come together to provide support? And then on top of that, you start thinking about value in terms of a monetary, money kind of mindset. But none of that is important right now for them. And it's really just about knowing when to ask questions, understanding who your resources are. All of those things, if we really focused on youth education, financial or not, if we teach how to ask a question or recognize when you don't know for sure what an answer is, none of the challenges that we run into with our members and ourselves, not excluding myself from this as well, but if we teach people how to do that, then we don't run into this issue that we see in the communities with adults who are ashamed, they've made mistakes, they don't feel like they're on the same playing field as everybody else. And it's so easy in concept to go into a community space and break down those barriers. you can pretty much level set immediately by putting our own stories out there. We teach and we're in these spaces not because we've never made mistakes before. I've said this all the time. It's because we've literally made all the mistakes. So
All
there's
of
really
them.
nothing you're not gonna surprise me with anything these days. And you present yourself as somebody who can solve problems. Whether you're 1 or 2 years old, 30, 40, 50 seniors, it doesn't matter. We're all problem solvers. And I think if we start really focusing on financial education and well-being in that space first, then as adults, it's just about connecting you to resources. But I think for parents too, nobody could have prepared me for what it means to budget for having two
Absolutely
little
not.
ones.
Right.
Although Michele did try to warn me. She did. She
did.
gave me, she told me, she said, oh,
I was a little bit ahead of you. I tried to warn you. We talk a lot about on the show about just education and communication, right? Early intervention, communication along the way, having advocates when you need them. Let's talk about some of these kids' expectations, right? Do you remember that little kid that I used to bring to classes and events, that little boy?
Who used to eat all the oranges.
He did, all the oranges. That little boy's going to be 13 and getting his debit card soon.
Believe
Crazy,
it.
right? I did some research. I grabbed an article from the Wall Street Journal titled, "What Young People Want from Banks." Let's talk about it in a minute. It reads that young people in the future are going to be looking for their financial institution to be engaging, to understand what their needs are in real time. They're expecting us to be trusted and sophisticated, to be appreciative of consumers' trust and rewarding of loyalty, grounded in science and algorithms and sensitive to human emotions, and then finally be modern and frictionless, just aware of banking activity on any platform, everything automated, invisible if possible. And you know this, instant gratification, right? I need it now. What are your thoughts about this? And have you thought about this in connection with your kids and some of their behaviors and expectations with money?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how youth growing up now don't know any other way. They push buttons and stuff happens. Like that is literally their entire lives. So, the expectation that they will have as that carries over into everything, school and banking alike, right, is fast and it works. And in principle, it makes sense, right? It's just, does the thing that I need work? That's really what they want. So I absolutely agree. Fast, easy, and emphasis too on trusted. I think this generation has so much information, so much access to information that's very easy to fact check, right? Is this accurate? Should this have happened? I thought or expected this product or service to work this way and it didn't. So they'll tell us. And I think it's great because we'll get that feedback. We'll make sure that, from Patelco's standpoint, that we are listening to the members and they are the answers to the test, right? We hear this question over and over and over again, like, what can we do better? How can we make sure that our members' needs are met? Ask them and then listen. It's really what we do here, right? And I think that's what makes the availability of our products and services, how they work, so unique, because we're asking, hey, did this work as intended? No. How do we do it better? And we're part of those meetings. We go to those meetings and we say, hey, we heard from the members this, that, and the other. How do we make it better? That's such a powerful tool, I think, for all of our members, but especially for our youth to feel like they can engage in that way. So yes, absolutely. Engaged.
I love the fact that we're able to take real life experiences from the field and bring it back to the roundtables here and share what it is we're hearing from our young people and all members alike. Let's talk more about this first point from the article, the fact that our young people are needing their financial institution to be engaging. Tell us about this cool resource, Banzai, that looks like youth would really enjoy regarding financial education.
Yeah, Patelco has a lot of different resources that we can connect our members to provide education. And what I love too about Banzai and Balance and all of these other vendors that we partner with is that there's a mode for learning for everything. So you can be the kind of person that wants to just read. I just want to sit and read and digest and think about, what it means to truly budget and save. Then there's, the doer group that wants to print out something and write it down and think it through. And Michele is definitely that kind of person. I know for a fact she likes to write. I'm not the best at writing. I like to use my phone or whatever to take quick notes, those kinds of things. And Banzai is a really great tool because it can offer all of those things. There's small videos, they're bite-sized, which is really great. Sometimes when there's just too much information, especially about a topic like financial wellness and well-being, it takes a certain, kind of motivation to crack open that egg. I think we're very, resistant sometimes to thinking about what our actual challenges are from a financial standpoint day to day because it's overwhelming. And so when you have something like Banzai where you can go small bites of reading, watching things, listening to things, it's just whatever you need it to be. Right? It doesn't have to be groundbreaking and you don't have to, have a whole lot of time to dedicate to it. But interactive is really important, especially for our students.
And everybody has a different mode of learning. Everyone prefers, just like I like my paper and pen and my paper calendar that you're roasting me about. Everybody has a different preference in the way that they consume information. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this modern and frictionless need from what we believe our young people to need from financial institutions. This is not part of our outline, but I want to ask you about our student checking account because you brought a lot of those needs from the community to the roundtable back here and said, hey, we really need to fix our student checking account to make it more modern and frictionless, to give easier access for our youth. Tell us a little bit about the Patelco student checking account.
Yeah, student checking is really great because it's a safe way for our students to learn how to actively monitor their money. Just the basics. Right? All you really need and all our students really need is to learn card safety, right? Debit card safety, to be able to turn your debit card off and on is a huge benefit because kids lose stuff all the time. And we have that technology to support them at a younger age. So our student checking account is available for students that are 13 to 17. A lot of times we get questions like, 13 seems kind of young. And it's definitely a family decision, and it's a personal decision on when somebody is ready for a checking account. But if the product is safe and secure and provides the student with the ability to turn it off if it's lost, have alerts turned on if it's used somewhere unexpected, set the limits responsibly, it gives them the freedom, honestly, sometimes to make mistakes. It's really about how you recover from those mistakes. And student checking is a really great way to establish that financial independence without too much concern about, something potentially bad happening to them. Because fraud, we know, is a huge problem for every person, basically. It's something that's going to be unavoidable, honestly. No matter where it is that you bank, you're going to run into some of those challenges. And one of the things that I'm a huge proponent of is operating in that safe space. Where can you learn these things in a place that isn't going to, hold you responsible for the, things that are out of your control? So student checking is really great. $1, to join as a member, $10 to fund the account, and you're on your way.
My almost 13-year-old, that little boy, he's so excited to get it set up. His birthday's in October. We're having conversations about it. His first question to me, does it have that tap capability? So tell us,
yes.
Can you get a debit card?
Yes.
And can he tap it to pay?
Yes.
And he can add it to his Apple Wallet
Yep,
too?
you can add it to Apple Wallet. Like, how empowering is it to see a card? And for us, it's so simple. It's just kind of like, it's another debit card. But for that student, for the first time, having this really cool card with their name on the bottom, like, it's empowering, right? Yeah. So you have to be able to, we want to be able to make sure that they are empowered to use it, empowered to ask questions, and really make sure they're reaching out if they ever find themselves in some trouble.
So the product is flexible too, right? So, a parent guardian can be joint on the account, but they don't have to, right? For students that have challenges or would prefer to be on the account alone, they can. But when I set this up, I'll definitely be joined on the account and helping him monitor it and have conversations along the way. But he can get that Apple Wallet feature, get his first debit card. So we're talking a lot about that. Right. So you made the mistake of telling me that for your little one, you haven't set up her youth account yet. So for your 2-year-old. So do I have to take you down to the branch and help get that open? What's been holding you back?
You would be proud of me. I actually did open my daughter's account.
You did
within the past.
Because I sent this to you a month ago and you're like, I'm not going to get on this podcast and cover.
Yeah. No, that was, I really feel for all the families and the parents out there. The first 2 years of, that, it's just, whew, there's a lot going on there. And it's so funny, though, because with my son, it was like before he was even, here, I was like, oh, we're going to plan and we're going to do this, that, and the other. And, the account's going to be open and ready to go. And then the second one was born and she, like the second ones usually are, threw a wrench in my plans, came a couple months early, really. And then I blinked and she was 2. I don't even think I got her birth certificate until like 6 months ago or something like that. And one of the biggest benefits was being able to sign up for her savings account virtually. This is really the power of having a financial institution that meets you where you are. Because any other place could have just been like, well, you got to come into the branch. You got to come in and you got to do this. You got to bring this and you got to bring that. And fine, we have our little checklist of things that we have to bring. But like, when am I supposed to do that?
Right.
She's getting out of daycare. The other one's got to be picked up from aftercare. And then there's sports. And then there's this. And then like, oh, like I have time now. And it's like peak traffic time and I can't make it over to the branch. So I was able to finally get her savings account open. Now
leave you alone.
I can be.
We definitely hear it all the time, right? Is this like getting a passport for my kids where I've got to gather all these documents and, they've got to be present and I've got to do all these things? It was pretty frictionless, right?
Easy. Easy. And the thing is, if it wasn't easy like this, it wouldn't have happened. Honestly, it would not have happened. I would have just been, she would have been like 9.
Or if it wasn't the fear of me getting you in the studio and giving you a hard time about it. Well, I'm glad you got it done. But also want to encourage everyone out there. It's one of those things that's just the last on your priority list. We know it's important, but it really, truly is easy, right? So at 36 branch locations you can visit, but you can also take advantage of virtual branch and get it done virtually. So you already had an account here, so they have your information. Yep. It's just a matter of you giving your kids info.
So easy.
Okay, so you're giving hope out there for all of our listeners out there. It can be done. It's last on the list, but make it your first priority. It just takes 15 minutes.
Yeah, easy. Lunchtime, a lunchtime task.
All right. Well, we know how important it is. It is Youth Month, and we're encouraging everyone out there to just take this time to focus on financial education and empowering our little ones with everything financial education. Want to go back to some of these resources that Kristi shared today. Our Banzai financial education platform can be accessed at our website, patelco.org/financial wellness. You can find the Banzai platform out there along with Balance, Spring 4, and a ton of other financial education resources. But Banzai is really that really cool tool that our youth are really into just because it's gamified and it's just cool looking. Student checking information can also be found on our website under the checking tab. Find student checking information and then how to get signed up there too. Well, happy Youth Month, Kristi.
Happy Youth Month.
You are my favorite person to talk about all things youth and all things empowering our youth, education, and the like. Get them started early, folks. Let us help educate them along the way. That concludes today's episode of Small Talks for Big Change, where we help simplify financial topics to help with your financial wellness. We'll see you next time. Patelco Credit Union is insured by NCUA.